Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I have some pretty huge surprises for you guys today. CONTINUUM, the TV series, season 3 from 11 years ago, and it seemed to predictively program the technocracy police state, as well as Elon Musk, Neuralink, wheelchair walkers. There's actually a direct mention of Monsanto, and there's even a Trump time traveler bullet across the face Graze, just like what happened in real life. Let's get started, you guys. This is crazy. Good morning. There's Rebecca, Margaret, Eric, Patricia, Christy, Lilith of Eden, Jason, Joni. Thanks, everybody. Vic, Laura. Thanks for coming this morning, and let's go ahead and get started. Now, this first clip is a declaration of how the technocracy has made people less free instead of more free. Now, this individual on the right-hand side is the future Alec Sadler. He's kind of the central character, the mastermind behind time travel in the series. Let's watch this and listen closely to what Alec Sadler has to say.
People believe that they are free, but the reality is they've never been more enslaved. I believed in the value of technology.
So you intend to rewrite history using these convicts?
Now, let's back this up a little bit. This is the young Alec Sadler from a different timeline. And as I said, he invents, essentially, he doesn't invent time travel, but he uses a device to fine-tune time travel. This is young Alec Sadler, and he goes back in time to save his girlfriend who died in his timeline. And in the process, his face is grazed by a bullet. Let's watch this here. Now, there you can see the graze. Now it's on the wrong side of the face and it's at the wrong angle. But I think we can get the gist of this. The grazed bullet. Now, who is this Alec Sadler character? Well, he's the billionaire. He's the Trump character. The 88 miles per hour Back to the Future character. In fact, I looked up the actor. This is him here, Eric Knudsen. And he was born in 1988. And at the time of this decode, I actually thought he resembled Marty McFly. Well, they confirmed that in later episodes, but I didn't know that when I was decoding this the first time around. He literally confirms the Marty McFly aspect to this, which of course the 88 miles per hour to get back to the future, right? Now, next, we're going to hear a woman describe the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the two timelines. Watch.
We are on the red side of the tree. When your young friend Alec used his time travel weapon, he created a whole new branch of the continuum. Time is not immutable. The continuum is like a tree. It can grow wild or it can be cultivated.
He'll never grow up to be the Alec Sadler of 2077. He will never create his empire.
Now that scene was loaded, wasn't it? Cultivated or wild? The wheat or the tares? Whoa. Now, what else is at play there? Well, the two trees. I think we're figuring out what the two trees are. It is the timeless ones, the evil ones, who are in the spirit form that can possess bodies down through time. And then there are us, the rest of us, who are trapped in bodies, and we essentially die, right? We have offspring, but we die down through the timeline. So another aspect of the two different trees. Now let's keep going with this. This is shocking. I couldn't even believe all this. Now, in this next episode, because it's all about Neuralink, right? When this episode aired in 2013, nobody could have ever guessed that 11 years later, Elon Musk would be promising paraplegics that they would walk again using his Neuralink. Some of the first experiments that have been done are on people in wheelchairs who lost their ability to walk. And this is what Elon Musk is now saying that he will be able to achieve pretty shortly here. So we're going to hear in this next episode, the bad guys hardwire and control humans through a neural interface, even some that couldn't walk before. Watch.
A new story. He no longer exists in this timeline. Do you know what that means?
Way. Some labs are working on brain-to-brain interface. They've used it on insects, monkeys, rats. But from what you say, it could be like an onboard computer, a chip that receives signals.
A primitive CMR.
You know, it's like an actual mind meld. No. It's like the internet, but for brains.
I'm standing.
I've untuck these wires.
Don't. Please, I'm walking. I haven't done that in years.
I thought you'd still be in the hospital. I'm supposed to go back, see a specialist. How'd you get that? We're Monsanto. We have friends everywhere. How would you like to change the world? Monsanto holds a number of safe deposit boxes and uses them primarily as backup or pending patents.
You can't make this up. So obviously there, you heard the company who is responsible for this brain-to-brain interface. The Neuralink. The company is called Monsanto, which of course is Monsanto, right? They just flipped it around. Now, interestingly, we've been doing this little word reversal on this channel for a long time to try to subvert the algorithms who target people who talk about these touchy subjects. If we talk about kittens and balloons, you're left alone, your videos go viral. If you talk about these subjects or mention any of these names, your video gets buried. And this is what all people have to deal with who want to talk about anything of any real significance outside of entertainment, right? So they did it here in this episode, Monsanto instead of Monsanto. You can't make this up now. This is crazy. Because next, you're going to hear about profiling, criminal profiling, sedition charges, and all this should sound very familiar because we just went through that with the whole Jan 6 thing. Sedition. That wasn't really a word that was used often back in 2013, 2014, was it? Let's take a look.
Monsanto holds a number of safe deposit boxes and uses them primarily as backup or pending patents, contracts, etc.
The VPD is cooperating to ID students at high risk of seditious activity. They are shutting down any gatherings, postings, or clubs that promote terrorism.
Profiling. That'll get them good and riled.
So,
Of course.
Right now, your skills are needed in Lab 7 with our Lithium Air project. And R&D needs a mind of...
Now, let me back up because in one timeline, Alex Sadler, which saddle sounds like a horse, doesn't it? Like the white horse of Revelation. That's a bit of a stretch, but pretty weird, right? So he basically inherits his father's company. The company's name is Piron, Piron, which to me sounds like prion. Now, to this point, there's been no mention of prions in these episodes, but we still have all of season 4 to watch, right? And if they start talking about prions, I'm going to fall out of my chair. But imagine that something in the brain has to be broken in order for the interface to be complete. And that's where maybe prions come in. But we'll see. You know, this is just an educated guess. But anyway, This is Alex Sadler, young Alex Sadler. He takes over his father's company, Pyron, after his girlfriend was murdered by his own girlfriend. I mean, after his father, was murdered by Alex's girlfriend is what I meant to say. So, he takes over the company, and the first project that they put him on is Lithium Air. Let's play this back a little bit. This is crazy. This is his first time in the boardroom. Now watch this.
So,
Of course. Right now, your skills are needed in Lab 7 with our Lithium Air project.
Now, why am I going on about Lithium Air? Well, remember some of our very first decodes in like 2013, 2014, and they launched those lithium rockets over the East Coast. And we were talking about how maybe they were dropping lithium out of the air to contaminate the skies and also to cause people to go to sleep, to turn their brains off. Well, there we just heard it. Lithium Air project. Now, I picked up on something kind of weird in the series. It was a little bit subtle. Because, remember, we got two time travelers so far. Kira and Alec. Let's go back here. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How's the stream coming through? I did some tweaks to hopefully fix some of the jumpiness and all that. Hope it's helping. It's always something, isn't it? So, I picked up on something here. When Kira and Alec jump out of their timelines and into their doppelgangers because they see themselves in the new timeline, the time travelers become very dark. They're like shadows of themselves. They're a little bit more cynical. They're a little bit more angry, and they actually wear darker clothes. Now, the name Kira actually means dark. When you look at the name meaning of Kira, and I think that the meaning behind this is this whole dark twin aspect. Remember, the double digits means twinning. So 66, 77, any double digit number that you see essentially esoterically means that it's a twin. Take a look at some of these scenes of the dark mirror characters. Let's take a look here.
And R&D needs a mind of your caliber.
you used the same secret SIM card for a year. Liberate wanted me on the hook and save it. Betty.
Now, I propose that we fast-track civilian versions of 33 of these technologies and provide law enforcement with advanced prototypes for field testing and...
Now, at this point, Alec figures out that a dark twin is roaming around, and he basically corners him in his own lab, and this is the part where they actually meet. And this is where we get the Marty McFly connection that I guessed at earlier. It's actually confirmed in this episode. Watch.
This is very Marty McFly right now.
And there he confronts his doppelganger. Wow, literally like everything we've been talking about, right? Now, I'm going to check with you guys, and we're going to get into some of these headlines, which tie right into this series from 11 years ago. Literally, the headlines are overlapping the reality from a decade ago in a random TV series that we just happened to pick. And that's just, to me, feels supernatural. That, to me, feels like it's ordained for us to discover these things and share it with as many people as possible. That's where you guys come in, because this will help wake people up. Now, why am I saying some of our current headlines are overlapping this TV series? Well, let's take a look. This story, for instance, CNN. Now, we all know that our government secretly admires China and their surveillance system. And they want America to someday be like China. Now, this is a bipartisan effort, right and left, both working together They'll say one thing, but they do another. There's never any teeth to this. We shouldn't even be trading with China based on everything we learned growing up. Oh, China this, China's human rights violations. But yet we still make China rich by buying all their products. So what's it going to be? Are we going to continue to get cheap products from China and overlook their human rights violations? Or are we going to finally realize that our government is making China out to be a boogeyman to keep us in fear, but really they want us all to look like China? They intend to use artificial intelligence, facial recognition, and powerful networks to achieve this objective. And at that point, they will have supreme power. They will be able to pass any laws they want. They'll be able to say that we all voted for it, and you will have no ability to resist because we will be under a complete surveillance state. Now, here's one example that kind of exposes all this. Embedded Chinese agents in our own government for years? How did this happen? Learning our system, probably consulting with our law enforcement. And here we are again in New York. This is supposed to be ground zero for the ability, they've pretty much trampled over everyone's rights in New York to keep them quote unquote safe, right? So we saw that during 9/11. After 9/11, we saw that during the pandemic. Oh, we have to do these things to keep you safe. But yet they overlook the obvious. Chinese infiltration into New York. You guys, this is the second time this has happened. Remember the Chinese police stations right under Trump's nose all over New York? Well, they want us to believe this is all an accident. But it's not. They are here. They are learning. They are working and consulting with our law enforcement so that we can look like China. We're supposed to believe that they knew nothing about this New York secret Chinese agent in our government. Of course they knew. And guess what? If they didn't know, then they shouldn't be writing a single speeding ticket or any infraction that has no victims on American soil towards Americans until they can figure out how to keep us safe from this stuff. This is where the technology should be pointed towards. Foreign threats, not American citizens with victimless crimes. Am I right or wrong? I mean, this is obvious to me. How did they miss this with all this surveillance that they say that they're doing on us? And how you can't even wipe your butt wrong without getting a ticket. And then they just let this Chinese agent show up. So of course they knew. They knew. And that's the big secret, isn't it? That there is no real foreign threat. That it's a smokescreen. We're supposed to believe there's a foreign threat. The true threat to our American government is all of us who don't want to be micromanaged and micro-ticketed and have our property taken away from us and our free speech annihilated. That is the true threat to our government. Now, let's read this. You guys can wrap your brain around this. Alleged Chinese agent went undetected in New York state government for years. Why it may have taken so long for authorities to act. Linda Sun visited Beijing in the winter of 2018, according to federal prosecutors. Chinese businessman based in U.S. made travel arrangements for her, reserved a presidential suite once used by the First Lady Michelle Obama. A year later, on a second trip to Beijing, Sun exchanged correspondence with the same businessman and discussed possible attendance to a military parade, ultimately attending a reception to celebrate the blah, blah, blah. They go and basically detail how this naturalized American citizen born in China had been working for the state of New York for years, and now they think she's a spy. I'm not going to read this whole article, but suffice it to say, they knew she was here. She was probably helping them. Oh, here's what you do. Here's what we do in our country. Let's, this is what you need. You need to tweak this and tweak that. That's the real story here. Apparently she got found out. And so now her cover was blown and they had to admit what was happening. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying that I know any of these things, but this is my opinion. So, China is behind our borders, consulting with our law enforcement agencies, possibly, embedded in our government, learning our system, secretly helping America to become China. And now, hopefully, you can see clearly all the distractions, subversion, and methods. You guys, why do you think they won't ever really fix the border problem under the guise of national security? It's to allow America to continue to be watered down so that there's cover, so that foreign nationals can creep into positions of power undetected, so that they can change America from the inside out. Now, if you think that you're going to vote for someone that's going to fix this, again, this is a bipartisan effort. The right and the left are doing this. They're bought and sold. It has to be a grassroots thing of us as American citizens rejecting the entire system. Yes, we should be lawful citizens in terms of correct and righteous laws, and you're not going to achieve this through violence. That falls right into their hands. This is about standing up and saying this whole system is corrupt and doing something that is outside of their system to fix it. Like demanding that a person doesn't have to jump through all these hoops to become president. Heck, I'd vote for Mike the plumber. The guy who fixed my plumbing before I voted for any of these people. Why? Because he's a real person. He didn't go to Yale and all these places. He's not a billionaire. And I can trust a person like that before I could trust anybody who's made that much money and had to sell out that many times to get to where they are. Now, what else? What else ties into all this? What else ties into the CONTINUUM TV series? New York Times, the American dream without a house? ? Believe it. And so now, property ownership is no longer billed as part of the American dream. Wow. Why? Why is this? Why are they saying this now? Well, this is because they want either the government or compliant corporations who give in to greed. They want them to own everything. So that, why? So that we all just become renters. And guess what? As a renter, you have no power. You can't say, screw you, I'll just hang out on my property and eat wild edibles. You can't say that to them because you're at their mercy. You need a place to sleep. So they're hoping that you become a renter and you cave into their economic pressure, and then they have a more compliant sea of humanity. Because most people, when they're faced with eviction, starvation, or poverty, they give in to what they're told to do. And this is why they are now imploding home ownership. How are they doing it? With inflated values, with senseless self-destruct home loans that nobody can pay over a 30-year period. Not because they don't intend to, but because so many things get in the way. The undermined job market makes it impossible to maintain a 30-year mortgage. The higher property taxes, the insane energy costs, they'll get you one way or the other. Or God forbid, a divorce where you have to split everything and lose everything. Home ownership under a loan or a mortgage is literally a controlled demolition. It is about the worst bet you can make financially to put yourself in a 30-year mortgage, unless you work for the government and you have a for sure job. Now, how do you counter this? Well, you counter this because we're not just complaining here. We're talking about solutions. You avoid the mortgage. You save for 3 or 4 years and you live poor for 3 or 4 years while you're saving so that you don't have to have a mortgage. You use that money you save and you buy in a less inflated area with low property taxes. You try to retire early so that you're not bound to work. And if you do make it to retirement, you basically use your retirement money and now you don't have to pay a mortgage or rent. So you're able to afford to retire without having to, come up with millions of dollars to retire. Make the sacrifice when you're young. First 3 or 4 years out of college, live with your parents where it's more acceptable to do so. Save up your 30 grand a year instead of blowing it all on car payments and all these things. Save it up for 3 or 4 or 5 years. Save up $100,000 and don't put yourself in a mortgage where you're paying for inflation mostly. When you're paying for interest mostly. Now let's read this. American Dream without a house? ? This is what they're literally trying to tell people is okay now. American Dream Properties is the name of McMansion developer in New Jersey. About a decade ago, Arlington, Texas rebranded itself as the American Dream City, promising diverse neighborhoods where the housing dollar stretches further than most cities. The American Dream symbolizes many abstract ideals: hard work, assimilation, equal opportunity, but for generations it has meant one particular path in life: get a job, save up for a down payment, and achieve the fairy tale ending of domestic bliss and a monthly mortgage payment. Now, though, with soaring housing costs, here comes the BS, right? Along with student loan debt and inflation, home ownership is becoming increasingly inaccessible for young Americans. They're the ones that created all this. Soaring housing costs, student loan debt, and inflation. They make it sound like this is just normal. So, the American dream without home ownership. You'll own nothing and be happy. Now I'm going to share a personal story with you. A whistleblower story. So I hope you're listening. This is something that is happening here locally with the water supply in North Arkansas. I'm going to try not to implicate anyone here, but this story needs to be told. It is public record if someone wanted to dig. It rains about 40 inches a year here in Arkansas, where I'm at. 40 inches. That's a lot of rain. There's a huge lake that holds all the water. And decades ago, our federal government gave out low-interest loans to poor rural areas to develop infrastructure for water supply. So in other words, they call it rural water. And I hope you're listening closely because this is very important. And this is probably going to be a trend across America because once you control things like basically utilities and the water supply, then you control the people. Now, it sounds good, right? Oh, federal government, USDA comes in and says, hey, we'll give you a $3 million loan. I'm just throwing a number out there. And you can set up your own water supply. Great, right? Oh, good, nice low rates for the customers. Like $50 a month is what I pay for water. And then everybody's happy. You get the local people that do all the work to dig all the lines, you put the water in place, maintain it, but they got to pay back this loan. Now, my area has one such system, rural water, and a USDA loan. But over time, what happens is the burden of maintaining these water systems becomes too great. So what does the federal government do? They come over and take ownership of the water supply in a rural area with only a couple hundred customers. And that should tell you everything you need to know. A couple hundred customers. And the federal government comes in and has complete control of the water that the local community built. And this is the insidious nature of usury. or loans and debt. The person has no idea that they will at some point be unable to repay the debt that they signed up for. Why? Because there's a false sense of security, right? Oh, everyone borrows money, and no one talks about their stories of how they weren't able to pay back the money they borrowed. So you just think, oh, there's just a bunch of free money laying around. I'll just get a loan. Hey, I was one of those people for most of my life. I'll just get a loan. And then you realize that loans are a trap. Why? Because we didn't create the money system. Now, the money system can never go bankrupt, and they created the money system so that they can basically make and print money and then give it out and then put a lien or take ownership of whatever you borrowed. They can go around and scoop up every asset linked to that loan. And this is the insidious nature of all this. You think you can pay it back, but then you can't. And sometimes, I would say half the time, the very people who make the money system intentionally implode it so that you can't pay the loan back. Now, in my local situation, obviously this does not apply to people who are on well water. But guess what? There's something secret at play here. Because the cost to now dig a well has become inflated. It's cost prohibitive for most people. So this is what suggests to me that there's something unseen that is at play here. There's something that we don't know about. They won't tell us. I can't even get anyone to call me back for a bid on a well. I've called like 3 or 4 people. Nobody calls back. You would think that they would want my business, right? Nobody calls back. Something's happening here, isn't it? Now, last I heard, wells here start at $20,000. And that's no guarantee of even hitting water. It could be a bottomless pit, like literally, no pun intended. A bottomless pit. You could keep digging and digging and digging and never find water and be into this thing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Who can afford that? Now, as we know, even wells aren't safe anymore. In certain states like California, are literally telling people that they can go onto their private property and put a meter on their well that they paid for so they can monitor their water usage. And right now it's only just, they're saying, oh, we're just monitoring it. It's just so we can keep track of the water table. But pretty soon they'll just put a meter on it and tell you, you have to pay, even though you were the one who spent the money on the infrastructure and the maintenance of that infrastructure. And then you take on all the liability and you just have to pay. This is unreal. So we will watch the water because water seems to be one of the key elements of their control mechanism. Continue to keep our eye on this. Now let's get into this last story. This is crazy. Now this kind of fits in also to the TV show Continuum. Cyborgs. Mushrooms and machines working together. CNN again, robot controlled by a king oyster mushroom blends living organisms and machines. You guys, the Terminator scenario is here. I've been saying this. I know it sounds silly, but Skynet has become self-aware and we have cyborgs among us. A wheeled bot rolls across the floor. A soft-bodied robotic star bends its 5 legs, moving with an awkward shuffle. Powered by conventional electricity via plug or battery, these simple robotic creations would be unremarkable. But what sets these 2 robots apart is that they are controlled by a living entity. A king oyster mushroom. By growing the mushrooms of mycelium, remember I told you guys, the mycelial network, this will be the brain interface between machines and humans. Remember I told you it was all about the fungus? Well, they're still working on it. The mycelium, a root-like thread into the robot's hardware. Be careful what these people promote. I wouldn't have anything to do with mushrooms or fungus at this point in my life, knowing what they're working on. If they tell you that fungus is good, then it's probably bad. If they start trying to get you to smoke mushrooms and fungus, it's probably bad. Because it's all experimentation. They're trying to hardwire us through the mycelial network. I'm not going to read the rest of this. Let's see if there's any pictures. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Mycelial network. We first started picking up on this when we decoded one of the newer Star Trek spin-off TV series. And they were using the mycelial network to travel through space and time, to warp speed to distant parts of the universe. Well, they are not giving up on this concept of fungus. Look at this. What? Wait, that's Terminator. We just were talking about that. Hold on. Andrew Adamski, a professor of the unconventional computing at the University of West England, helped grow from fungus a self-healing skin for robots that can react to light and touch. That was described in separate January study. That's literally the Terminator. Right there. Whoa, creepy, you guys. Creepy. So we're on to something here, aren't we? We'll keep an eye on this as well. Now, I got some complaints from quite a few people that feel as though they are blocked from the channel. You are not blocked from the channel. I checked each of these cases, case by case, looked at my block list. The people that are claiming they're blocked are not blocked. They're going on other channels telling people that they've been blocked and are mad at Enter the Stars because he blocks everybody. You have not been blocked. So what I would recommend is that you show up to one of the morning shows and try to comment in the chat and ask people if they can see you, or you can leave a comment under any video and ask if anyone can see your comment so we can get down to the bottom of this. I do have a feeling that YouTube might be playing a part in this problem. Okay. As you can see, our channel, despite the fact that our videos are just getting better and better, and I'm not saying that because I'm conceited. I'm saying that because I've had a lot of practice at this, and we've been doing this for so long, and the information is getting more and more profound, yet our numbers keep falling. So that sounds like a controlled attack. It doesn't matter if the mods block them. I would be able to see that in my blocked list, Magavelli. It's not the mods just blocking people. I have one moderator, and that's Rebecca. And if she blocks someone, it will show up in my blocked list. It's not there. So don't kill the messenger. Rebecca is not blocking people secretly so that I can't see it, because I'm the one that gives her the wrench. Yes, YouTube is probably playing us. And this is why you can't get mad if you feel like you're blocked and then go and trash talk on other channels. That's not going to solve this problem. I spent several hours yesterday trying to get down to the bottom of this to help people who feel as though they got blocked. I checked my block list. They didn't show up. I reached out to some of these people. The best thing that I can tell you is try to show up to the live show, leave a chat comment and see if we can see you, or leave just a comment on a video. And if your comment shows up, that means you're not blocked. Now, I've reached out to YouTube about this and I said, you guys, what's going on? They said, oh, it's the people's mobile devices. It's because they didn't update their software. So update your software, your YouTube software, do the update. Otherwise, you're going to have problems getting onto certain channels. That's what YouTube said. Now, I know a lot of people don't update their apps on their phones because they feel like the app is putting something on their phone. Well, in the case of YouTube, you have to keep updating it. Otherwise, they start screwing with you and blocking you out of certain chats and certain channels. So try that as well. Those are the only things that I can suggest to you at this point. And I'm really sorry that that's happened to some people. Now, here's another thing that may have happened. there was a point at which the default for our live shows was only subscribers could join the chat. And I know this, I know personally that a lot of you have been unsubscribed from the channel without your will and knowledge, and others just choose not to subscribe to channels. They'd rather just find the channel and tune in instead of subscribing, maybe for privacy reasons, I don't know. But for that reason, a lot of people were not able to access the chat for a while because they were not subscribed to the channel. So I've since fixed the problem, and now everybody can get into the chat, whether you're subscribed or not. But that may be the reason why you feel as though you were blocked. Maybe you tried to come to a couple shows. It says you cannot join the show unless you're subscribed to the channel. And so you're like, oh, I'm blocked. No, you're not blocked. So, wow, right? Now tomorrow, I'm probably going to hopefully get into the last season of Continuum. There's like, it's only 4 seasons. I'm most of the way through season 3, and then probably get into season 4. Probably do one more show on Continuum. And then several of you have asked me to get into a brand new film called Megalopolis. Let me see. Oh, I got, here it is here. This is Megalopolis, the film, and it's supposed to be an epic science fiction drama written by Francis Ford Coppola, and it stars Adam Driver and all these other actors here. Lawrence Fishburne, John Voight, a lot of big name actors that have been around for a long time. Megalopolis, a science fiction epic film. Now, I'm hopefully going to get into this if I can find a good copy of it to decode, and I'll get that for you guys as well over the next week or so. Let me go back in the chat, see what you guys are up to. Oh, hopefully all that makes sense. Well, what else is going on, you guys? All right. Call for an uprising decoded this. Oh, cool. Okay, well, we're going to do a deep dive on it, as we always do, scene by scene, capturing clips and everything, and relate it to what's going on. Not that he doesn't, but, you know, we just do a different thing over here. All right. Good morning. That's not true. I needed a new phone, got it updated, and still comment gone after Casey. Now, understand that sometimes the comments get stuck in spam. That's a thing that happens. So all you have to do is wait, and I can go and undo the spam, right? So that's a thing as well. So just give it some time. Usually it takes me 24-hour cycle to get through my spam before you claim that you've been blocked, okay? Because all that does is destabilize our community, because there's all these hurt feelings and people get upset, feeling like and then they blame Rebecca. Oh, Rebecca did it. No, Rebecca has specific instructions and very rarely blocks people. You're only blocked ever on this channel if you're literally attacking or subverting the live chat. You're allowed to say anything you want. If you come on here and say, I worship the devil, I told Rebecca not to block people like that because it's free speech. If you worship the devil, fine. We don't, but you might. So I'm just glad you're here. Maybe you're going to learn something. So even if you say you worship the devil, you're allowed to stay here. Now, if you come on here and you say, we're just going to pick on Mama Rogers right now. I'm not really picking on you, Mama Rogers. But if someone says, Mama Rogers is evil, or Mama Rogers, and they start like focusing on her, you're going to get a warning because you're not allowed to attack other people in the chat. And then after a while, she will block you, because now what you're doing is distracting everybody from the channel and what I'm presenting. Okay. That's not allowed. But if you have a belief system or you disagree with me on something, you can stay all you want. You can come in here and say, I disagree with Casey about some of his doctrines, and you can have a discussion about it in my live chat as long as it's related to what we're presenting. and it's not distracting everyone from the channel. So I just want to make that clear because there are chatty Cathys out there that go on to other streams and like blame Rebecca or blame me and say that we censor everybody on this channel. That's just not the case. All right, what else is going on, you guys? Yes, they come to distract, disrupt. Yes, that happens. You know what? And I get a lot of compliments from you guys thanking me for creating a safe place to come and hang out without a bunch of drama. We had some drama about 5 years ago on this channel, and I was just over it. I fired all the mods. Remember that? And I was just done. And so I vowed at that point, God's like, you got to clean up your channel, Casey. You've got a lot of drama and it alienates people from the channel. And guess what? Part of that involved having a discussion with Rebecca. We had a discussion and she was very open and was awesome about it. And I said, Rebecca, we got to change this, this, and this. It's creating a little bit too much drama. She said, okay, I'll do that. And that just tells you what kind of heart she has. So I talked to everybody. And now this is our new channel without a bunch of drama, right? And this is why you guys love to come here. But unfortunately, our group continues to dwindle. And that's a YouTube thing. It's not because of the way we run the channel. It's got to be a YouTube thing. So hang in there. We'll get our group back at some point. I know we will. And I just got to keep doing the good work, right? And we'll get past all this. All right. It's all about doing the work. No, you notice I don't get on here and not provide anything of value to you guys. It's not just a hangout. This is like real work that needs to get done. So what else is going on? All right. Oh, so at some point, I told you guys we're going to be doing the Honey Milk Ranch stuff on the backup channels. I have some pictures of a blind that I sat in during the velvet hunt. So I'll put that on the backup channel. A coyote came in within 10 yards and he sat down and took a dump like 10 yards away from me down in the plot. They call it a plot where they plant food for the deer and wildlife to come in, right? So the turkey come in, the deer come in, and this coyote took a dump like 10 yards away. He could not see me in the blind. This is how blinds work. You're basically sitting in either a box or a tent and it's dark inside. So the wildlife can't see you and you get all kinds of cool, crazy wildlife interactions. I had a mouse. I kept trying to climb in. It was dark, pitch black, because I got in the blind probably about 5:30. It was pitch black outside. Crept into the blind, sitting there waiting, and I had the windows open on the blind. And this particular blind was like a hard body blind. It was basically a building, a small building. It looks like an outhouse kind of. And a mouse came in onto the ledge of the window, and it kept trying to like come in. And I'm like, get out of here, because there's not a lot of space in there. And it freaked me out. He was cute, but I was like, this mouse, this is like I'm in a animated film or something. I got a mouse like trying to be my friend. Next thing you know, he's going to start talking to me. What are you doing in there? I don't know what happened. Maybe I was in his house. Maybe he made a nest in the little blind. And then when I got in there, he ran out and he's like, get out of my blind, right? I don't know. Weird. But anyway, thanks for waking up now. Thanks for the super chat. Anyway, so I had to shoo this mouse away like 10 times. He would not give up, or maybe she was nesting. Could have been a little girly mouse. And I went to shoo her away. She just kept jumping off the ledge and climbing back up. I didn't know mice could climb like that. This thing climbed up a sheer wall. Just climbing around on the top of the bill. I was freaked out. I was like, is that a snake? Because it's pitch black. You're in there, it's pitch black. You can't open your phone. You can't do anything because you're sitting there waiting for daylight to see if a deer walks up. See if, like, when the sun comes up, you see a deer standing there. So you have to be completely quiet. You're just sitting in the blind. And this little mouse, what is a mouse? Well, name a famous animated mouse so we can get a visual on this. What was that mouse that there was a cartoon about a mouse that was like traveling or something? I was like, this is freaking me out. Little tiny, yeah, Ratatouille. Yeah, it was like Ratatouille was on the shelf. He's like, I'm going to make you some soup. So anyway, long story short, once the mouse was gone, then here comes the coyote. And he like literally walked right up on me, took a dump. And then I text messaged my friend, and which is my friend's wife, and she was over in another spot, because it's velvet buck hunt. It's only 3 days. Today's the last day. I should actually be in the blind right now. This is the last day for the velvet hunt, and I texted her and I showed her a picture of the coyote, and she goes, "You should have shot it." Apparently, when there's coyotes around, the deer run far, far away. Some of the deer still have small does. I'm not does, but what's the baby deer called? See, I'm not even like up to speed on all this. I'm trying to learn all this. Anyway, sometimes they got the little deer, and the coyotes go after them. So they stay far, far away. Thanks, Felix. Thanks for the tip there. Appreciate it. And so they tell you you're supposed to take out all the coyotes in an area if you want to have a good hunting. So I don't know. I didn't kill the coyote. I didn't kill it. No, he didn't smell me. It's crazy because Sandra asked, he didn't smell you. No, I got pictures of this thing. You could see it walked right up on the blind within 10 yards. So I think what happened was he ran up, took the dump, and he came toward the blind. He almost smelled the actual blind. And then he smelled me and he ran off like super fast. So he did smell me at some point. But man, what an exciting experience. Coyote. It was about a medium size one. It wasn't a huge one. It was about the size of a dog. Now, last night I had my window open because air conditioners are off now. We're now into chilly evenings and nights. And so I left the window cracked, and I could hear the coyotes howling. They like bark and howl. They go whoop, 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 like that. And so I heard them outside. So that's why the deer aren't coming around, because there's a bunch of coyotes around here. So whatever. So anyway, I'll get a video together and a Honey Milk Ranch update on the backup channel. I'll show you guys the pictures of the coyote encounter. And I have yet to see a deer in daylight yet so far this season. So, yeah. Huh. Yeah, it is nice, this cooler weather. It's very, very nice. I'm kind of sad the garden is going to be over soon. I still have lots and lots of cherry tomatoes, though. It'll probably keep producing until the first freeze. But I think we're coming up pretty quickly on the first freeze, probably with the next couple weeks here. All right. Okay, I'll let you guys go. I'm going to hop on and get on to work again. Put links in the pinned comment as I always do. And I'll get into Megalopolis and try to finish up CONTINUUM. Love each and every one of you. Have a great sure day. Take care.